Hello, my name is Mitchell Harvey, and I am going to be presenting on behalf of Group 2. We are doing our project on a CS124 final exam preparation. We started out by choosing our project by brainstorming a bunch of ideas and then weighing all of the positive aspects of each project as well as the risks. And then we agreed on a project that we all felt comfortable with. Most of us are coding majors, either CIT or software engineering, and we all thought that this would be an interesting project to work on. Our project is to hold an event that's sort of a review for CS124 students to practice for the CS124 written final exam. We are planning on it taking place on either July 7th or 8th, or possibly both at 7 p.m., which would be Friday and a Saturday. And we're going to do it by making or using a mock exam for the students that are there to take. And then once everyone's finished, we would give out the answers and go over any questions people have on the problem. So if like someone gets one wrong and they don't understand how to arrive at the correct answer, we would go step by step through the problem in order to help them understand what the logic behind the problem is. And we're planning on doing it in the SDC building. The classrooms are pretty big and we could fit a lot of people in them. And there's talk of possibly doing it online as well for students who wouldn't be able to make it in person. We would just use either Adobe Classroom or a Google Hangout or something. We'd have to figure it out. But the purpose is to help students with the 124 final. The class is very different from how the final is. The class, you work on projects and coding the entire time, and sometimes the written final for the class can be a bit of a surprise for students who don't really know, who aren't used to working in that kind of way. And this practice exam is meant to give students confidence for the final so they can do well. It's also to help students reinforce their abilities that they've learned through the course, because courses after 124 really rely on the basics that you learn, and having a solid foundation is critical for succeeding in courses after 124. This is what the mock exam will look like. Most of the questions are having fake code that you would just try to follow the logic of and see what the output would be. There are also questions about simpler things that aren't code-based, like what is the difference between a char and an integer? What's the difference between an integer and a float? There's other kinds of questions in there. It's all very important information for 124 students to know. So even if they would do well in the final, this is just a great review session for the course. Our policies are that the TAs need to be qualified for this event. They need to know the material. They need to be very good at explaining concepts, which is very different from knowing the material. And they need to be respectful to students. Basically, the TAs need to be able to understand why the students are confused and be able to explain the concept to them in a way that won't belittle the students in any ways. Also, anyone at the event that's working needs to know all the safety procedures in case of an emergency. As far as risks go, our project doesn't really have that many. A couple of risks could be people not hearing about the review or not showing up to it, and then pizza that we might buy could end up being wasted. But basically, this project is not a big commitment. It doesn't take a ton of resources to complete, but it's still an important project to do. As we were talking about pizza, the budget could be as much as $50 if we decided to have pizza, but if we didn't want a budget, we could do this completely free. The TAs would just volunteer. We wouldn't be paying them. It would cost literally nothing to do this project. And our methodology is we're using Scrum, obviously. We've broken down the project into 5 major product items, which would be completed in sprints. And we would assess everyone on our team's skills and then assign members to assign tasks to team members based on what those skills are. This is what our product backlog looks like. We have 5 major things: choosing the project, which we've already completed, preparing the project, advertising the project, executing the project, and project closure. And each of these product backlog items is broken down into sprints. and has a bunch of tasks associated with them. The first sprint would be choosing a project, which we have already done. And the task items associated with that would be coming up with project ideas, comparing project ideas, and agreeing on a project. The next backlog would be preparing the project. It would include items like contacting professors, choosing a date, getting a budget, reserving the room, printing out the exam, anything in preparation of the project. The third sprint would be advertising the project. We would need to create flyers, print them out, distribute them, send emails to students who might be interested, announce the event during any 124 classes going on, just getting the word out to students who would benefit from the event. Fourth, we would have executing the project. This would be getting the pizza, preparing the room, handing out exams, instructing students what to do, holding the exam, and then reviewing the exam and going over any questions that students have. Last would be project closure, which is still an important phase. We would have to clean up after the event, get rid of all the pizza boxes and any leftover exams. We would want to survey the students who show up to find out what they thought was helpful from the event, what they thought could be improved, and then we would analyze our advertisement and reviewing methods. That is our project. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.